At this point, if this guy comes across you, you definitely don't want to get involved. Sometimes we see situations where people feel like they want to help the police officers get this guy, so they'll block him off, for example. And you never want to do that because you don't know if this person could potentially be armed. At this point, we don't have any information to lead us to believe that he is, but you never know. He's already wanted for assault with a deadly weapon on a police officer, likely that vehicle. So it could be a situation where this guy could ram you to get you out of the way. So you never want to get involved. If a police pursuit comes your way, then what you want to do is when you can safely do so, move over to the right, let the chase go by, and then rejoin traffic when it is safe to do so. So they can, Annabelle. That's a great suggestion. They can, but what they have to do is to try to figure out what way he's going in order to anticipate it and be able to put the spike strip in front of him. Right now, oh my gosh, oh gosh, that was a close one. I I thought he was going to get T-boned. That was a bad one. Clearly, this guy's dangerous. Spike strip Annabelle would be great, but again, they have Yeah, and this started as a reckless driver. I want to say it might have been reckless DUI specifically, but that's how it all started. The sheriff's department tried to pull him over. It would have been very simple for this guy to just to pull over, and that would be the end to it. But on top of that, now he's got the additional charges of assault with a deadly weapon on a police officer. And every time he's committing any other type of vehicle violation, like running a red light or running a stop sign, driving on the wrong side of the road, all of that is being added back onto those charges. So this guy is just adding on charge after charge. The best thing he could do is simply just pull over. But at this point, he's fully committed, continuing here on Violent Avenue, now entering North Hollywood. Yeah, correct. And we are hearing that they have been authorized to go back into pursuit, but those units, of course, weren't directly behind him before. So those units will try to catch up eventually and get back behind him. But for now, entering an intersection there, he had the green, thankfully, but he still almost cut that car off there. Might have actually tapped him. But continuing on Violent Avenue at Hesby Street, the sheriff's department, I'm hearing the helicopter. He thinks he did actually hit that vehicle, but it was not bad enough for him to come to a stop. He's still continuing. So add hit and run now on top of all those charges that I was mentioning before. The vehicle itself, again, is a black Ford Taurus. These tend to get pretty good in terms of gas mileage. But let me push in here. I want to take a closer look at the vehicle, see if there's anything else that may be identifying in any way. I can kind
tráfico y para ponerle en contexto la situación, todas estas maniobras que está, uy, casi.
Collided at that intersection, but it was a light tap from what I can tell. But he is starting to lose control. He's going to spin out here. Airbags deployed. You can see him starting to lose control. Hopefully he doesn't hit anyone else. But yeah, slow bit. The vehicle's going to be disabled here. He can't even see. Those airbags are all around him. Let's see if he decides to bring things to a stop or if he tries to get out of the vehicle and take off running. But the sheriff's department now going to be effecting a traffic stop here. Time is on their side, so they're going to bring things to a slower pace here, get other vehicles to stop. As you can see, their additional units will arrive on scene, and when they feel comfortable, that is when they will make call outs to the driver and anybody else who may be inside.
Okay, and so we are waiting for that to happen. The driver is still inside. We don't know if this is a man or a woman inside this particular vehicle. And again, as you mentioned, Eliana, we don't know if anybody else is inside this vehicle along with that driver. but we are so happy that this seems to have come to an end after just reckless driving in the San Fernando Valley.
Yeah, and he didn't come to an end because he wanted to. We clearly saw this guy was fully committed to getting away, but because he was struck by those vehicles in the intersection. And it wasn't too dramatic of a crash, but it was just bad enough for the airbags to deploy and that vehicle to become disabled. So
Right.
we find ourselves now on Hortense Street here with across the Vineland. We're in North Hollywood. What the Sheriff's Department is doing is they're trying to clear the area. They're trying to get other vehicles to be further away from this termination, just in case this ends up in a shots fired situation. They want to make sure that everybody else is out of the general area. And when they feel comfortable, they'll bring additional units in, and then a team of officers will make call outs to that driver to get him to come out of the car. Now, I should mention earlier in the pursuit, right before we got overhead, they actually had him stopped in a very similar fashion. They thought it was going to be over, but he simply continued on after a few minutes of waiting in the vehicle. I don't think he's going to be able to do that this time around because of the condition of the vehicle.
Right. And so this is still very much active. It's still a tense situation for anybody who is around this area. If you're watching right now, stay inside, stay away from this area, because as you mentioned, Eliana, anything is possible at this point. The driver is still inside this vehicle. We don't know what he or she is capable of doing, but officers are behind this particular vehicle, black Ford Taurus.
Absolutely. And I can see him in there. He's holding onto the steering wheel. And now what they want to see him do is throw the keys out of the window, but the window's up at this point, so he's not going to be able to do that. I see him kind of looking around, looking at the rearview mirror, but hands still on the steering wheel, as if he's intending to keep on driving. But again, I don't believe that the vehicle is capable at this point. We may see him chug along for another minute, but this car really isn't going to be able to go at those top speeds that we saw. We saw him going 80 miles an hour on Sunland Boulevard, which is, of course, a street here in the San Fernando Valley. So freeway speeds on surface streets, lots of close calls. He almost ran over two children in the La Crescenta area, ran red lights, obviously was involved in multiple collisions with other vehicles, and finally the vehicle coming to a stop. But this situation is still not over here in North Hollywood.
Yeah, and so again, for anybody who's just tuning in, it is 3:26 in the afternoon. This is a pursuit that started around 3 o'clock this afternoon. Police were after this driver for what began as a reckless driver. Then it became a pursuit because of assault with a deadly weapon on a peace officer. And then adding to that was a longer list along with that hit and run.
Yeah, we saw a couple of hit and runs, driving on the wrong side of the road, running red lights, running stop signs. And of course, there was that original evading police, which is basically just the fact that he took off on them. And then the assault with a deadly weapon on a peace officer. So multiple charges are going to be added on at the end of this, but it's still not over, unfortunately. This could turn into a barricaded suspect situation where he just refuses to come out of the car. Sometimes these things could go on for hours. They have to bring out the police Bearcats, they surround the car, they bring out the police canine. So this is a situation that could have these streets shut down for quite some time. And I'm going to throw up the map here. I'm going to take off the speedometer just so you can see where this ended in North Hollywood.
Eliana, and we're just noticing too, those officers it seems like they're just kind of gesturing for people to get out of the way or making some type of gesture. I'm not sure if we see cars there, we see homes there, but they were clearly making some type of gesture. I don't know if people are around. We see few people there, kids on bicycles. You know, again, we should remind people that kids are, a lot of them are home because winter break has officially started for LAUSD kids and other districts. But in the meantime, a very tense situation here. This is on Vineland Avenue and Hortense Street in the area of North Hollywood. So we see officers there with their guns drawn there, still waiting for this driver to get out of the car.
Yeah, and they don't want anyone else in this general area because, as you said, they have their guns drawn. So you don't want to be in a situation where you are in the path of that gunfire should it come to that. So that's why they want to make sure that all of the other civilians are out of this area. Obviously, it's difficult not to look at this if this is right outside your door, or if you're one of those cyclists that was going by. You're clearly going to be interested in what is going on, but you need to think about your safety first and foremost. So clear out of the area because that's exactly what the deputies are asking you to do while they continue to make call outs to this driver to try to get him to surrender.
And again, this is something that you're saying could last for hours. We don't know what's going through this driver's mind, but we clearly know that this driver does not want to get out of that vehicle.
Exactly. They don't know if this guy is going to comply once they ask him to throw the keys out of the car and get out of the vehicle, or if this is going to turn into an hours-long standoff. It really could go either way. As I was saying before, earlier, he had stopped in a very similar fashion. They thought it was over. They were starting to make those call-outs, but then he simply took off again. I don't think he's going to be able to do that this time because the airbags are deployed on the car. It's been involved in multiple collisions now, but this could very well turn into a lengthy standoff here in North Hollywood. Again, we're right at Hortense Street at Mylan Place. If you live in the area, if you normally travel through here on your way home, you're going to want to look for an alternate route this afternoon because, again, it's unclear how long this is going to be blocking lanes.
All right, Eliana, thank you very much for that. And our live coverage is going to continue on the NBC4 Los Angeles News Channel, wherever you stream. We have a team of reporters and photographers heading to the scene on the ground. NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt is coming up next.